I now recognize myself, we begin the question and answer section. I recognize myself to start that with 5 minutes of questioning. Mr. Sherman, you got my attention. Infer data. So what kind of information would they infer if we block the others and they start to infer data? What are we talking about there? Inferring that I live in a particular town, inferring that I live on a particular street, and how do they do that?
Inference is one of the three main ways that these companies get data. So it's a huge data source for data brokers. Inference might be something really basic. For example, do you have a Christian prayer app on your phone or a Muslim prayer app on your phone? And that single data point can be used to understand something so sensitive as an American's religion, something that they may never have inputted into a form, all the way to more sophisticated things. If you have location data, if you can follow people as they visit medical facilities, divorce attorneys, you name it, you can also from that derive information about them that they similarly have never typed into a form and have no expectation is out there, but then that's put into these data sets for sale.
And are all the companies out there doing that, and do some of them just keep the data for themselves? As an example, Sunday morning, I'm going to church. Boom, pops up. Google tells me how long it's going to take me to get to church because it's Sunday morning and I'm pulling out of the driveway. I haven't asked them to tell me how long it's going to get to church or what the directions are, but it just offers it to me. Is that part of what we're talking about, or is that considered acceptable?
I think that is what we're talking about, right? What can you learn about people based off location data? As you said, different kinds of companies collect that for different reasons. A ride app might collect it because they need to know where you are to send the car, versus a data broker wants to collect that so they can profit off selling it.
All right. And, we've talked about it, and for everybody watching, if I type in my email address, if I'm shopping for something or if I decide to buy something, and mostly that would not be me but other members of my family, and I do it, put down the address, the website, my email, put down my address so I can get it shipped. What is the chain of custody to the data broker and beyond, and where does my email address end up, or even my street address?
This is another main source for data brokers. Is a lot of what we'll call first-party collectors, right? The one that the consumer directly interacts with, as you said, an app or a website, will then turn around in some cases and sell that directly to a data broker. Or sometimes they'll share it with advertisers, and then that enters an equally opaque, sometimes system where data brokers can get the information from there.
All right. So how do we craft legislation that protects that, but at the same time gives me the opportunity to actually let somebody know my location? For example, many of the members of the committee know I'm an avid bird watcher. So when I'm out birding, I have several different apps, and if I'm in a location, I want them to know where I saw that bird so that other people can go see the bird. I want them to share that information. How do we craft legislation that protects the privacy but allows me to say, okay, I spotted the particularly rare bird or an unusual bird in Virginia at a certain location, and I want other people to know that. How do we protect it but also allow it when I want to share my location?
As mentioned, I strongly support a comprehensive privacy law. I think giving consumers more control over what data is collected would help with that. So would controls specifically targeted at the sale of data. As mentioned, it's not just data brokers who sell this data. Sometimes the way they get it is a weather app or other app selling location data without people knowing it. And so that's also part of this system you mentioned, where that then gets out there for sale.
And part of what I've always envisioned, and we'll have to craft the legislation appropriately, is that as opposed to the small print that goes on for, I'm scrolling down. I used to read those. I have gotten numb like so many others, and I'm just like, okay, I want to get this done. How can we get a box that just says, okay, you can share or you can never share? It's something simple that we can click on.
I think you just said it. It needs to be simple. Data brokers, among others, hide behind this completely bad faith nonsense argument that people read privacy policies. I don't read privacy policies for everything I use, right? We don't have the time. And so making that simple so someone can actually read it and understand it is really, really essential.
All right, I appreciate that. My wife always used to make fun of me when I would read those privacy notices, and I did it for years, but I've given up. I appreciate your testimony, and I yield